This is Seasons of Discontent with your hosts Rick Snyder and Matt Combs on the Hogstye Network.
Welcome to Seasons of Discontent, Season 4, Episode 12. Brought to you by Rick Snyder's Washington. And now, those pizza tours we talked about, they're coming. I'm Rick Snyder.
And I'm Matt.
And we're discussing all things Washington sports and life as part of the Mighty Hogstye Network on audio and, of course, on the YouTube channel of mine for the video. All right, so, Matt, minicamp came and went. We had to dodge the cicadas and all that stuff. They were under my shirt one time and everything, crazy stuff out there. But they got the work done. I thought it was a really good minicamp. They ran between things. There was a lot of spirit in them. Of course, there's no pads, but it's the next best thing. Listen, those guys, those 300-pound guys shoving each other, it ain't a kiss. And I don't care if you have pads or not.
And, of course, last week was the hottest damn week we've had so far. So,
yeah, the first day of minicamp was pretty hot, but 2 and 3 weren't too bad. But I'd say overall as a minicamp, I thought it was very productive. I saw some players, some rookies that emerged out of it. I know people say you can't tell anything until the pads come on, and that's somewhat true about linemen, but I spot ballers, and I saw some good young players out there, and I saw a defense that wanted to kick the offense's butt every day, every single day, first or second team. And this defense is going to be tough. And I'm going around. They showed no mercy. They picked off a lot of passes, which then you say, but that means your quarterback threw a bunch of interceptions. So it works both ways. But I thought Heineke looked reasonably sharp. Josh Allen's just getting back into it, didn't do a whole lot. And then, of course, Ryan Fitzpatrick, he's almost a 50-50 career guy. He threw a number of picks too. Mm-hmm. So that concerns me a little. I think this team can go to the playoffs if the quarterback plays well. They can tempt, but that's the whole question.
Yeah. So, and that was one of the big things coming out of minicamp was everybody was saying, oh, well, there's no quarterback competition. Ryan was brought in to be the starter. And then Ron's coming out and saying, well, yeah, of course we're going to have a competition. I mean, that it's the NFL. That's what you do. You're going to play your best guys. I mean, look, it's the first week of minicamp. Ryan was presumably brought in here to be the starter. He's making $10 million a year, as to where Heineke was signed for 2 years for like $4 million, $8 million, something like that.
Yeah, it's basically go away money if they have to cut him. But,
yeah, and that's the thing. Heineke may end up being the starter of this team next year. He may be the starter of this team by the end of this year. But, Ryan is brought in here to groom the next guy. This is what he did in Miami with Tua. This is what he's done everywhere he's gone. He's the guy that's always been overlooked. But now this is the first time in his career, I think, that he's been brought in to just be the starter. And if he helps Heineke along the way, if he helps Allen along the way, hey, then that's what he does. He's 40. He knows his time in the NFL is almost up. This is probably his last gig. So, why not go ahead and have a competition? But I think at the end of the day, Fitz is going to be your starter. I mean, Terry and Samuel and all these guys are talking about the camaraderie they're having with Fitz, and they're working together on the field, getting things done. I mean, I can't see Fitz not being the starter week one. I'm more interested in some of these guys that they brought in, like these tight ends. I mean, you brought in Reyes. You gotta see the success that Logan had last year and hope that this kid can do the same thing. They brought in a lot of pieces that are unknown for this offense. And, I think it's kind of a boom or bust with these guys.
Yeah, they have several guys that on tight ends, man, it's a big, tall group of tight ends. I'll say that.
Yeah, they got some big boys.
Reyes is 6'7". I think Reyes is a practice squad guy.
More than likely, yeah.
He's got some really good things. He's got the side. His hands need a little bit of work, as you would expect. But, he's out there working hard. I see a lot of positives, but I think he could be a practice squad guy. John Bates, I see as being the second tight end in 2 tight end packages, and I think they're going to do a lot of those this year.
Yeah.
The rest of them, I don't know. They got other guys too, but I just saw a lot of people, stepping up in these mini camps. Things like Steven Sims, you figure, well, he's getting cut.
Yeah.
He had a great mini camp. And that speed, he's that dot on your screen. That's the UFO that suddenly is added to the screen.
Well, yeah, and wide receiver, we've talked about it. The wide receiver room is loaded. Those are all the position battles, as far as I'm concerned, are going to be on offense. You've got a heavy room when it comes to running backs. You got a full room when it comes to wide receivers. You got to figure out tight end. Our offensive line is pretty much, you can kind of predict what that is going to be starting week one. But I think those skill positions, there's a lot of competition in those skill positions because they have a lot of good players.
Yeah, I think it's safety. There may be a competition. You've got Curl out there. You've got McCain coming in. It looked okay. You got Landon Collins coming back. I know Rivera said at one point he referred to Curl as the Buffalo safety, and I'm still trying to figure quite out what that meant. But they may be creating something with 3 safeties on the field, I guess.
Yeah, Arizona ran a lot of 3 safeties when they had all those safeties a couple of years ago.
But, the corners have looked good. Fuller's look fine. Jackson looked good. There's no weak spots. And of course, Chase Young came after skipping the OTAs. I have to say this. I know it's your free time and it's voluntary, but you're a second-year player who should be there. And when your excuse is, I was filming commercials, oh, man, I don't like hearing that. If there was another excuse, now people will probably forget about it. He's certainly in shape.
No, yeah, but he's not going to be out of shape. Trust me.
But Eastern Motors or whatever is not your job,
right?
And so be here for your job. It's only a handful of days. Tell those other people, hey, you'll film on other days. They only missing a few days out of 6 months.
But Rick, isn't it nice that the only controversy is we're talking about guys that didn't show up to a minicamp or to a voluntary workout? I mean, compared to the past years with this team, with all the drama surrounding it and everything, I'm so happy that we're talking about competitions. We're talking about guys not showing up. Like it's not drama. It's contrived drama by the media, and I'm apologies to you. I know you're in the media, but it's all we got to find something to talk about. This may be one of the most bland teams we've ever had in the area, and it's just such a fresh breath of air. It's insane.
Yeah. So training camp will be started. They report July 27th. They will work out in Richmond July 28th for 4 days, and then that's it. And then they come back to Washington. And I asked, hey,
why are we wasting our time?
Well, I can tell you that. I did ask, would fans come to Ashburn for part of the camp? And I was told probably not. So this is your 4 days. They're going down there because it's stadium negotiating time. And you want to play nice with Richmond and the lawmakers just to, they're getting a new governor again, probably this fall, Terry McAuliffe, who was governor before. He's a big pro Redskin, Washington football team guy. So it's all that stadium stuff. But, the guy making a decision isn't the guy that's got to pack up that place and move it for 4 days and bring it back.
Right.
A lot of work for that. They did improve the fields at the park out in Ashburn. They're nice. They look really good. They revamped the whole thing. They're now actually doing the stadium.
I was going to say they're tearing up the field at FedEx finally, too, after 20 years of begging for that.
Yeah, I know.
With the new stadium deal, I mean, Bruce, he was brought in to negotiate the stadium. What's going on? How are we going to get a new stadium without Bruce Allen?
They're starting from scratch, it seems, which meant Bruce's total waste of time. But
yeah, Bruce didn't have anything. They were banking on Bruce because his brother was the governor, and they were thinking that he could, hey, it's Christmas Day. Let's, gift me a stadium, gift me some land out there in Loudoun County. That ain't happening.
I had a really interesting conversation this past week with one of the Hall of Fame voters that I've known for a long time. And he's not from here. So I just said to him, why is it that Jacoby just didn't make it? He goes, well, he got close a couple of times. I said, yeah, but what was the problem? And he said something that really surprised me. He said, they ran a lot of double tight ends on his side, and people just feel like he wasn't doing the work alone, that he had those with him. Now, I kind of reject that. I mean, I can see the point they're making, but I don't think it's irrelevant. But he said that's kind of the thought process of maybe why Jacoby didn't make it in.
There's 3 guys on that list: Jacoby, Mitchell, and Gary Clark. All 3. Look, honestly, I'm biased. All 3 of those should be. Brian was one of the greatest kick returners of all time. Gary Clark was a part of the posse, one of the best wide receiving cores we've ever seen in the NFL. Jacoby is definitely a Hall of Fame offensive lineman. He was part of the Hogs. But, I just don't understand like how as huge as the then Washington Redskins were in the 80s, how those guys just get so overlooked. I mean, look at Art Monk. How many years did Art Monk get overlooked? And he was one of the best wide receivers in the league for that period of time.
Oh, that's the all-time career leader. It took 7 years. Clark. I asked about Clark. Why isn't Clark in there? He had 699 catches. I said, but he had over 100 more in the USFL, and they're like, I said, it's the pro football.
It is.
So they should count. He just like, And Mitchell, they were like, special teamer. So at least
look. My argument with Brian has always been, look at how much. Just ESPN, just take ESPN for an example. How much did they highlight Devin Hester and Josh Cribbs and Dante Hall, these guys that were brought in as, special teams experts and special teams specialists? How much did they get highlighted? Those guys aren't popular and aren't highlighted without Brian Mitchell. You know what I mean? Brian was basically like one of the first all-pro Hall of Fame kick returners. And, honestly, look, we know the NFL is trying to phase out kick returns and punt returns and stuff like that because they want to reduce the concussion rate and the injury rate and everything like that. But for a period of time, that position was very important. And you had very, very exciting people at that position. Brian is the person that opened the door for those guys.
Yeah. All right. On the way out the door here, I got to say those pizza and pigskin tours, yes, are finally happening. You can go to my website, monumentalthoughts.com, and see the tickets that you can buy. Food and drink are included. So we're going to start on June 26th. A limited amount of people so that we feel like it's more of an intimate conversation. You can ask me anything you want that keeps me out of the courtroom. Other than that, but the tickets are up for sale now. So come on, we'll talk, eat pizza and talk football.
And there may be a special guest joining you on one of those tours.
Yeah, whichever one you can get in free. So
I can get it all of them for free, hopefully.
We got to get out of here. I'm Rick Snyder.
And I'm Matt.
See you soon.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to Seasons of Discontent on the Hogstye Network.